I'm not wearing any makeup. This is my first time doing a chat with you. I'm not wearing any makeup. I felt very,
Dang. You're being
yeah.
very open with viewers. I like it.
I know. I'm like, this is me. There, you got hair, and that's it. Hello, Belize.
Hi, Sam. So you picked this week. What are we watching?
My mistakes on screen. We watched the Holidate.
I just wanted to say at the top because I'm like, just in case anyone didn't see last week's video, this was a blind pick from Sam.
Okay, do you think this was a farce?
See, it's so hard because I feel like there are some films where it's like they attempt to be, but they don't do it fully enough where it works. And I don't think it was. I don't think it was intending to be.
I couldn't tell if this film was trying to be Isn't It Romantic, or if it was trying to be Not Another Teen Movie, kind of one of those franchise films, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't tell if it was like, I think it was trying to attempt to be more on the Isn't It Romantic side of like, oh, we're gonna make fun of the rom-com, but it didn't like nail it. And then it was just so absurdist comedy at times, but not even that much so. So I couldn't say like, oh, it's like Not Another Teen Movie, it's Scream, it's, you know what I'm trying to say? It just wasn't.
Yeah, what makes you even think that it's trying to go down the farce route?
Because throughout the entire film, they're constantly making fun of tropes of the rom-com. Like at the beginning, well, I would say the beginning half of the film, they're making fun of tropes of the rom-com. Like, oh, like I think when it's New Year's Eve, Emma Roberts just specifically says like, oh yeah, like you go see these romantic comedies and obviously the one character is like, I don't want to see anyone, and then she meets a gorgeous guy and of course she doesn't want to see him, but you know they're gonna get together by the end because of the poster. And the whole time I was like, okay, isn't it romantic? Back it up. Like,
That's the only part I can think of as to what you're saying that fits, but I feel like it's not done in any other part. That I don't think it's them trying to do. I don't think it's them trying to make fun of the trope. I almost think what it is it's trying to show people who like judge romantic comedies and then still act exactly the same way that romantic comedies do. Because she's like openly judging how stupid that is, and then she does the exact same thing, and it's like, haha, we all make fun of romantic comedies for having people who don't really have problems, but look, internal problems like this, you guys actually go through them and you're just not acknowledging it.
that what you just said was deeper than the entire movie. I didn't pick up on that. Do you have a specific topic you would like to touch upon in your notes?
I think it is fun that they tried to create this concept of the holidate, this idea of you're just going to specific holiday dates with someone. I feel like those sorts of concepts, like when you bring up those sorts of terms, like fetch in Mean Girls, that sort of thing, like done the right way, it actually can create a term like culturally. And I think that concept there was really cute.
Because they were really trying to like drive it home. They were like, listen, and it wasn't like that difficult of a concept to pick up on. You know what I mean? It wasn't that difficult. Didn't need to mention it that many times. I just feel like that was a note for us as filmmakers that when we go over a script, let's stop trying to make fetch happen. It'll just happen. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it will just happen. Like, The Duff does it really well where they mention it once, and then they're like, oh, this is the explanation of what it is. But you've already met the characters, you've already met the world, and then the bomb is dropped. And then you're like, oh my God. And then the rest of the film is like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I'm the Duff.
I think they were trying to find the sweet spot between not saying it just once and saying it enough that it becomes a thing. It's like you went a little too far to the right with that. But yeah, so I thought that was like my first note, very small note. Just I think the concept of that and trying to create that term for this time of year
Was cute.
Yeah, I think that, no, I agree though. I think it makes sense. I think that's like a fun like way to coin it. I am going to make a confession. Before you picked this movie a couple weeks ago, are you seeing my confessions now?
I was like, these are my confessions.
So I, a couple weeks ago, tried to watch this movie with Speedy, with my roommate. We got in about 10-ish minutes, and then the scene I'm about to talk about happened, and we turned off the movie. But we were like, I'm just not in the mood. I don't really know what this is. This is weird. And so we turned it off. But I didn't want that to affect, because I was like, maybe it is a good movie. the scene I'm about to talk about is difficult because it's like they don't. I just wish it didn't exist. The scene where he has sex with that crazy girl's house that he goes to, where she like forces him onto the bed and then starts going down on him. When I first watched it, because I was not given the context immediately of these two have been like sleeping together before, I was under the impression of this is a friend. They have never done anything like this, and she is pressuring him to have sex with her right now. So I got very uncomfortable very fast because none of that context of why he was there was given. Because he literally says, "You told them we're together," and is so shocked by it that it seems like, oh, these guys are like friends or acquaintances from work, is what my interpretation was. And now she's suddenly, like invited this man who doesn't have his family here for the holidays and is forcing him to have sex with her. So I got both my roommate and I interpreted it that way, and we got very uncomfortable very fast, and that's why we turned it off. Because we didn't understand. We were like, oh, is this one of those situations where we see a lot on movies and TV where a woman is kind of is the crazy girlfriend or whatever the frick trope, and using that to pressure a man into something that he doesn't want to do. Kind of like how, we'll cut this part out, but like Ianthe and Lucian, that sort of thing. I was like, is that the vibe? Because that feels like the vibe right now.
You know what's funny is I don't think you would have to cut that part out with the audience that we've been accumulating.
Okay,
I think they'd be like, yes.
Yeah, so so that's kind of like the vibe I got was Ianthe and Lucian during that part, and I was just like, oh, this is weird. And then after that scene, they explained like, oh, like they had been actually hooking up together, so then I was like, okay, so then it's not a weird scene, but because that context wasn't given right away, it like seemed almost bordering on inconsensual for a minute there, and I was like, this is weird, this is a strong opening. So yeah, so I didn't like that scene, and I didn't like the concept of the girl at all. I thought she was too extreme and didn't fit the rest of the vibe of the movie.
For me, I didn't see it that way personally, but the way I did see, but I do validate and I see it now through the eyes you're giving me, and it's like, oh, of course. And also Sarah J. Maas would vibe with you. So the way that I saw it was like, we're really gonna just present everyone like stereotypes in this movie, aren't we? Like, I bet they're good actors. I really am a big fan of Emma Roberts. I'm a big fan of Emma Roberts. I think that she does one role really well, and it's that bitchy white girl with a lot of money. That's that you want that, you call up Emma Roberts. I felt like on all cylinders throughout this film, I couldn't pinpoint why it was. I couldn't tell if it was the script. I couldn't tell if it was maybe the direction. I couldn't tell if it was just like the tone that's what they were going for. You know what I mean? Is like, we're gonna be obviously making fun of things. So when she just went down on him, I was like, oh my god, like this is the movie I'm in right now. And then prior to that scene, they go into the dinner. They go into the Christmas dinner, and everyone just keeps going up to Emma Roberts like, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get married? I just was like kind of that's why I thought it was a farce. I was like, okay, these are tropes. Like, I feel like it were 2020. There's no way that these people aren't making fun of these things in 2020. But that wasn't the scene that bothered me in the way that it's bothered you. The scene that bothered me, that I wish just didn't exist, that I was actually shell-shocked in 2020 would be executed in the way that it was, given the context of the people in this film. It's when they have sex for the first time. At Cinco de Mayo. They literally set up and maybe I'm just being too prude, maybe, but I'm not. I don't think I am at all, actually. They set up in the beginning of the film they're not gonna have sex with each other. She says, and yeah, maybe they're being flirty. The filmmakers and the script make them get blackout drunk, and even then, okay, fine, even then bothered me, but even then, what really like nail in the coffin for me, the morning after when they wake up, their whole dialogue is trying to figure out if they have or haven't like had sex. And they're trying to figure out like, well, shouldn't you know? No, we didn't. And I just was sitting there and I was just like, this is so inappropriate. Like, it's not funny. It's just inappropriate. Like the fact that she's like, no, we didn't, but you're wearing my underwear. Like, that's not funny. Getting blackout drunk and not remembering what you did the night before and whether or not you had sex is not funny.
Because nothing came out directly of it. Not that I wanted anything to come directly out of it. I was like, why did this have to be here. Like, it really wasn't necessary at all because there's no consequences from it. There's no effect. Neither of them feel bad. Neither of them feel happy. Neither of them are like curious after. There's no reaction to it. It's just they bulldoze on to the next holiday. And it's just like, is that the, and you know why it's also so, I think for me, because you talked about acting a second ago, I like these actors. They're good actors. I don't think they did a poor job acting. Star-side cast, we have Kristen Chenoweth, by the way. But I think the issue with these two actors wasn't their acting. I just don't think they had chemistry.
Boom! That's what it was. Because I was sitting there this whole movie confused. I was like, why do I not buy any of you? If I saw any of you in other things, I would vibe. I would love all of you. We have the mother from Titanic in this movie. I felt like I was eating a cake made from the same baker, but all the slices were different flavors. The thing that really fucking pissed me off, more than just like the what happened last night, it was the, well, can't you tell? Well, you should be able to tell. Let's push forward because this is not the only thing that's bothered me from this movie.
My other note was, besides how I felt in terms of movie, I think that it should have started from them interacting at the mall. I feel like we could have cut her going to that stupid family dinner and him having that stupid, like, I understand that it was to show how terrible holidays are when you don't have a date. I would have wanted to start at the mall because I felt like the mall was like the strongest scene early on.
I vibe with the fact that the mall was the strongest scene. I did like the fact that we started with the holidays because since the movie is about the holidays and it's constantly like we open and close on a holiday event. It's all about her family. It's all about like these big things that we have to go to during these like festive times that no one has fun doing. I understood why they put that as the opening setup. You know what I mean? If it was just like if it was just like a romantic like comedy of like, wow, we met and like I want to bring him home for Thanksgiving or something, I would get that because it's like they're trying to show not tell, you know. So if they told us in like a flashback or something, it'd be like, ah, yes, but let's dive into that more. And they're also in that opening scene, they're introducing you to all the characters that you're gonna see in this movie. And so, like, I understood it from that perspective of like, oh, okay, I get why we open here. I understand why they opened it where it was, but I agree with you that the mall was the stronger section. I don't know. I just kind of was getting tired. Like the everything was just bombarding. It's kind of felt like I'm gonna go back to my cake. The opening scene, I understood you need a cake at a birthday, but it felt like there was nothing but pure chocolate in it. And someone gave me a big piece and told me to eat it. And that's what the opening scene felt like. And I was like, ooh, let me just nibble. Let me just nibble at it. Like, don't make me my whole fucking face in there. You know what I mean? What next? What else were your thoughts? Can we just really quick, can we talk about the guy friend really quick? Because that's what I've wanted to talk about since watching the movie. And I'll start. I'll open the floor. How in the 2020 did anyone think it was okay to make that character the character that he was? He did not have a dimension to him. I was just like, it's 2020, dude. Like, did we have to do that? That's some 1993 like casting and character arc right there. He never gets a redemption. He doesn't really grow. He's just there whenever we need Jackson to have like a friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then they wrote him as like the character who like cheats with the sister, and he's like totally fine with it. I was like, oh, there's no way he knows that she's, and it's like he knew the whole time that she's married. And I was like, and the Black Panther thing was weird to me too. I don't know what that was because I'm like, I'm a big fan of Black Panther, and I know it was made before he passed away because like no way could they film this after he passed away. But I'm just like, did you not think about those consequences when releasing this movie? That there's a like, it's just weird. Why are we? What? I don't know what that was. Like, just I don't know.
I just feel like, thank you. I was like, am I being crazy? I don't think I'm being crazy. It was just stereotypical. Like, it was something out of like, that's also why I kept thinking they were trying to be like another scary movie or something like that, where they do that in that movie. Like there is a character who is a Black woman. I can't remember her name in the film, and her whole purpose of being there is making fun of how horror movies use Black characters and African American characters. You know what I mean? So they make her like this farce of a character, And that's why I was like, oh, okay, is that what they're trying to do? They didn't do it well.
See, but I don't think they are, because like they do the same. They have it in another teen movie where he's like, I'm just here to be the token black character. And I feel like, I'm not saying that every single farce has to be that on the nose, but I feel like, isn't it romantic? Not another teen movie. Things are so, they make it clear that this is a farce, that this doesn't do it. So I'm like, I don't think that's the intention. And I feel like we kind of have to be on the nose with farces to make sure that people who are maybe not, you know what I mean, watching movies as often as us, don't interpret it to be serious about what it's doing.
Can we highlight one of the examples you just gave of Isn't It Romantic is a perfect example, in my opinion, on how to do the I'm just here to be the token character, but do it well. There is the token gay guy in Isn't It Romantic, right? The beginning of the film, he plays the straight man. He's the straight man in theater is like the not funny, just like kind of bland character. So he starts off a member of the LGBT community, but he is not whatsoever a stereotype of that community. He's just himself. And he's constantly saying at the beginning of the movie, like, oh, you want me to be like the gay best friend? Is that what you want? You want me to braid your hair? You want me to paint your toenails? Is that what you want? You know, do you want to make like an object of me? And then when the spell is cast and we're in the romantic comedy, that's when he becomes like the token classic, like homosexual character. But that's why it's making fun of it, because at the beginning of the film, they say from the very start, that is rude and stereotypical. And then we're going to go into that land where we're making fun of everything and making everything extreme. And then we go back to it where he's just his regular self, you know? The quality of being gay is not what's funny. In this movie, I don't think they were trying to like I think they were trying to poke fun at it, but they ended up doing was just creating a token character.
I honestly think you're giving them too much credit by even saying they're trying to make fun of it. I think that's actually how he's written. I think the issue nowadays with minor characters or side characters being written like that is not only that they're racist or offensive in that sort of way of being the stereotype, but they are made to not have their own storyline, which is, I get it. I get that side characters and minor characters aren't always as fleshed out. What we're trying to point out is that these characters are brought in as accessories to the main characters to add to the main character's personality, when that's not the goal of showing diversity on screen. Yeah, and then when it comes to the black friend, they are usually used to make the white main character seem cooler.
We're going in this path anyways. I'm really happy that you agree with me, because the whole time I was like, oh my god, I want to turn off this movie. Like, just that alone made me want to turn off this movie. But just going off the side characters anyways, this is a roast. The sister was bothering the hell out of me too, because what was she like? Just because she's not like, she's also a token, she's the token mom friend whose life like went flopped when she had kids. That's all that she is to the story. Like, oh, and then she cheats with a kiss and it blows up in her face. Like, her husband's not there. It just felt like no one had any form of an arc. The only person who had an arc in this whole fucking movie, aside from the main characters, was Kristen Chenoweth. She was the only one that I was like, okay, that's actually interesting to me. Which I can understand why they signed her on. Like, she's the older woman, she's a cougar, she's very in charge with her sexuality. Yeah, she's the comedic relief, but like, she has a full circle story.
Yeah, and I think aside from her, which even that's questionable, it's interesting that there's no healthy relationships whatsoever that are shown. Like, at best, it's the main two characters that end up in a healthy relationship. With obviously not, but like, that's probably what they were going for. And it's weird that they don't have like, there's no like stable relationship throughout.
I think that might also be like what they're going for too, that like there is no such thing as perfect. So like, you should just find someone who understands you. But like, so I agree with you, because that also bothered me. What?
So I feel like you're like, it's basically their message is just settle because you're dreaming.
Literally, that's the message. There is nothing. Is there some hallelujah Jesus moment that I'm missing? Like, the message is just settle. They painted her to be the one that had trust issues or problems. Like, she was always the one they kept painting as having the fucking problem. Oh my god, Stallone, like, get over yourself. Like, you need to go get him, blah, blah, blah. As if she's the one. He enters the movie being a misogynist. And just because he like comes in and swoops her when like her hot ex-boyfriend, which, oh my god, that man, I get it. I would have been like, Sloan, let me buy you a shot. But the point is, there was no redeemable character in this film. I hated the fact they made Sloan look like the crazy girl. I'm sorry, this man was nothing beyond the bare minimum. Nothing beyond the bare minimum. You tell me, if anything. Oh, he hangs out with her family. Bitch, my family's the shit. You know how many men have hung out with my family? You expect me to, oh, thank you. Oh my god. Oh. No. Disgust.
I think you're exactly right. I don't know if I have anything to add to that.
Great mic drop.
Yeah, I honestly, overall, I have very few notes because I overall was just kind of like watching and I was like, I have like 3 notes left. So she wears a hot dress. That's great. I don't know why so many people have to objectify her in that dress over and over again. I don't know what that's trying to do. I'm all for flirting in a way where people say stuff like, you know what I mean, about someone's body or their appearance or something like that. That's fine. It doesn't have to be that vulgar, first of all, because I don't know why we're making it seem too, because that kind of just teaches the lesson of, hey, this is hot. And you should say this more often, and you should want to receive this more often. Because I didn't like it, and I didn't like that the aunt comes in and does it too in front of him. It just seemed weird that they're all like, let's just as a group talk about this dress and how your tits look in it.
You want to know what I think? I think that, like, first of all, to anyone watching, like, me and Belize are not, like, conservatives. Like, you need to understand. We're not conservatives. We don't even have, like, old-fashioned taste and values. We just want a little bit of, like, you know, humanity and empathy and, like, people. And no one speaks like this. And it's, like, I think what this was that it was the screenwriter trying to get with Gen Z and, like, making a commentary on how they think we are because of how, like, sexually, like, in charge our generation, well, we're not Gen Z, but how sexually in charge, like, the millennial and Gen Z generations are. We are the type of people who are like, we say bad bitch like it's nothing. We are the type of people who go out clubbing, wear, like, very provocative clothing. We're all, like, about female empowerment. You look great. You should shake your ass on TikTok. That is your fucking business. That is our generation. You know what I mean? So I feel like that was the screenwriter's commentary on, like, well, this is apparently how the generation speaks. I thought it was funny once. Knock it off. You know what I mean? Like, it's because then it's like, okay, well, I've never seen that before in a romantic comedy where she's like, thank you. Like, I know. You know what I mean? And, like, my ass. And, like, I was a little uncomfortable by it, but that's just me at that point. You know what I mean? And then it just started getting going. Like, it's all leading up to when she flashes the audience, right? That's why they're bringing so much attention to her tits. Because they're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. That's what it's all leading up to. But it's just done so heavy-handed.
That makes a lot of sense, though, what you're saying about that. I didn't think about that's why that they're calling attention to it is because we're going to see it. I honestly forgot that moment happened.
I want to give the benefit of the doubt to this screenwriter. I really do. I want to give the benefit of the doubt to these people that they were really trying to, like, land in this certain sector of rom-coms, like, isn't a romantic. But continue your notes, please.
I did love that during that she was talking about her, they talked about Valentine's Day, and then they were like, you can't just sit and watch porn alone on Valentine's Day. Like, her and her girlfriends were talking about this. And she goes, you should especially watch porn on Valentine's Day. And I did love that. I thought that was fun. I'm like, I do love to just see, yeah, like, women talking about that just because it's, you know, like, so I still feel like it's just, even if it's not taboo anymore, it's just not talked about anymore.
Yeah.
Or it's not talked about ever. It never was talked about. That's the right word. Even though it's not taboo anymore, I just feel like it's not ever, like, openly stated. And I love to see women, talking about stuff like that.
So the reason why you like that is because it's like, oh wow, this is something that no one talks about. Thank you. Like, make it normal. Make it normal. Don't make it normal to objectify us. I don't think that's what we wanted. I don't think that's what we're asking for.
My last note is I was, like, sitting there and I was like, wow, these parties are epic and I want to go to all of them. Where are these parties? Like, obviously it's a pandemic, so I can't anyway, but that New Year's party was bitchin'. I would have loved to go to that kind of party.
That New Year's party looked like a wedding. That New Year's party looked like a damn wedding. For me, it was the Halloween party. I was like, oh my god. Then my last little roast is the fact that, like, the moment that they like, you know, realize, oh my god, we're perfect for each other is when she, like, shits herself. I'm like, the fuck? I don't know. That's just not my humor. And so I just was kind of like,
that is me being oversensitive to something that's not important. I hate bathroom jokes. I cannot stand any form of bathroom jokes. That includes vomiting as well. Like anything where like something is coming out of a person that is like supposed to be gross and that kind of humor. I'm like, that's just, I like witty humor. I don't like that kind of humor. That kind of humor grosses me out. And I feel like you're just like trying to cater to a mass that I don't think exists anymore.
what would you do differently?
I think that while we have often seen it, the whole situation of women having to deal with being single on the holidays, pressure from family, that sort of thing, I think what was missing from this that I would have loved to see, which would change the script, of course, is I wanted to see his family involved. And I wanted to see the difference in how he's not getting any sort of pressure whatsoever, while she's getting this pressure of, why aren't you with someone? And then when she's dating him, she gets the pressure of, you have to be serious. Look, here's someone you can actually marry. Like this pressure of, don't waste your time. You can't just fuck around right now. This is the age to be getting married. And I would have loved to, on the flip side, see him getting encouraged to fuck around because he has years and it doesn't matter.
He did get encouraged to fuck around from his friend. His friend was the one that convinced him at the wedding, don't go to the wedding. Like, you know what I mean? He was getting, that was his form of encouragement. But you really struck it on the head, the parents. Usually I always fight you and I'm always like, well, we can't change the script, Elise. It's not, you know what I mean? No. In this one regard, we need to help him out. We need to help him out a little bit. They need to change the script. I vibe with that. I would do that. Didn't even think about that. Okay. I would remake the entire male character and I would remake the female character. And instead of her fighting, like, I want to be alone, like, stop. Because the reason why she wants to be alone, and this is what's bothering me, the reason why she wants to be alone is because her boyfriend hurt her so badly that she no longer wants to trust anyone ever again. I would love it if the reason why at the end she wants to be alone isn't because she can't trust him, but because she was like, you know what? Men suck. Like, I wish that she had this realization of like, you know what? Men suck. I don't want to be with you. I don't need to be with anyone. And then at the end, come back to him and be like, okay, you want to be with me? That's fine. But not this like whimpering, like, I choose you. Like, I choose you. Because he did nothing.
I don't think they could have ended it this way because then it would be like, why is there no movie? But I don't think in real life those kinds of characters who never slept together and never had any sort of chemistry and just did these favors for each other and became friends like that, I don't think there's any situation in which they would actually end up together. I liked the idea of that is it. They just kind of then go and find their own people and then that they move on because it's like, hey, this helped me for a while and now I'm gonna actually get serious and now I actually found someone because I had the time to not worry about like finding random dates for the holidays.
And they would have healed together. He would have realized that, like, oh, fuck, you know what? Maybe I could have a girlfriend. She shows up at the next holiday, alone, having a great time. And then he shows up at the next holiday, alone, and maybe nice talking to a girl.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's normalize platonic relationships because it's just always seen as like, oh, if there's a girl and a guy and they're both straight, they have to end up together.
Or something tragic has to happen to keep them apart.
Because in this situation, it's not one of those things where it's like, friends with benefits doesn't work. It's like, no, they're not having those kinds of benefits. So like it would work. They could be friends forever like this and then move on.
Okay, what would you rate it?
I was just going to say a 4. And the reason why I would say 4 out of 10 is because I think the part that really, really hits home with the message of just settle is that these two would not call or contact each other aside from holidays specifically. If you're really only going to each other for help on this situation and you're not even talking as friends, I don't even think you're friends. And I would have wanted it to be a proper Christmas movie. It was not. And that also was frustrating for me.
I think I'm going to go with the safe bet, 4.5. Why? That one shot in the sex scene was so pretty.
4.5?
4.
Okay, so next week we are going to be watching Last Christmas, starring Emilia Clarke and Henry Golding.
So yes, comment down below. Maybe you love this movie. Maybe you're gonna buy it on Blu-ray, VHS. Oh fuck, oh, that's not. It's 2020. Anyways, the point is, my name is Sam.
I'm Belize. And this has been Heartbreaker Films. Catch you next week.
See you next week.